Welcome to the Inside Scoop Live podcast, where indie authors get personal about their books, their writing, and their passions. I'm your host, Sherry Hoyt. Join me for some lively conversations with debut indie authors and seasoned veterans alike. It's a great place to find your next amazing read or even get inspired. So sit back and enjoy the show and let me know what you think. Hi, everyone. Robert O'Toole is with us today to talk about his new book, My Journal, Motivation, Inspiration, Love, Kindness. It's a versatile year-round daily journal that encourages positivity, motivation, and acts of kindness, ideal for personal growth and creating a positive culture in various settings. Before we get started, here's the inside scoop on the author. Robert L. O'Toole is an international figure skating coach with over 47 years of experience coaching athletes from the grassroots to the Olympic level. His positive and motivational approach to coaching is his trademark, along with his passion and love of sport. He has inspired thousands of athletes to achieve excellence in sport and beyond. My Journal is his debut entry into the literary world. Learn more about Robert O'Toole and his work at robertotooleauthor.com. Well, hi, Robert. Welcome to Inside Scoop Live.
Hey, Sherry, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm excited to have you on the show. I don't think I've ever interviewed anyone before who's written a journal, so this is exciting.
Oh, good.
What inspired you to create My Journal, Motivation, Inspiration, Love, Kindness?
That's a big question. I think it started a long time ago in my early coaching career. I wanted to develop a more positive environment for my athletes and myself and the coaches in the rink as well. So that started a long time ago, and I've done it throughout my career. It was a little exercise with my athletes. We chose a letter from the alphabet. We went from A to Z.
Oh, wow.
And the kids had to bring in positive statements, positive words, and they had fun with it. It was great. And they came up with some really cool things, insightful things, some things from their own, some things they got from other books. But it was a great exercise, and it sort of changed the culture in the rink a little bit. It was much more positive, much more progressive.
Yeah.
So that's where it started. And fast forward to getting pen to paper. It sort of started with, it sounds a little down, but my very best friend passed away last year. And it became part of my grieving process where I needed to write down all the positive things and tap into my creative nature to sort of get myself back where I needed to be.
Yeah.
So that came from my dear friend Mary, and she was also an excellent skating teacher. And so that's how it sort of developed. And when she did pass, of course, I was devastated, and as well with many other people. She touched so many lives. So I went away, and I went to a province town in Massachusetts, and I rented a little house, and I was there for a little more than a week, and I started there. And
wow.
that's sort of where everything sort of came together. And it was almost like a whim that I thought, I should do something, because Mary always told me, you should write this down. This would be really cool if you wrote things down. And I finally took her advice after all the years.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's the history. That's kind of where it started and where it finished.
Yeah, wow. Oh, what a great story. Now, what was the time span involved? What kind of time passed between working with your athletes and then actually sitting down to write the book?
Oh my goodness, I would say close to 30 years.
Oh,
Because
wow.
I've been playing with that exercise with the kids, and we would do it for 6 months, and the kids would just have so much fun with it. And then we'd pause and I'd check out the environment and see how things, and it changed people. It changed how I responded to them and how they responded back to me. So that was really the key thing, because it's all about being productive. And for me, it was really important to be that positive light and to be that reassurance that this is a foundation that they can trust and move forward with their career as a skater, so
Hmm.
as an athlete.
Yeah, that's so important. Now, how did these exercises actually play out during your training with the athletes? Was it like a written assignment or did you all just talk together in a group? How did that work?
So I have my spot where I coach, and I would always have the whiteboard behind me. And that whiteboard, I went through a lot of whiteboards. The kids would come and they would write their word or their quote or whatever on the board so that everybody could share it.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and that was kind of the whole point. It wasn't just for an individual, it was for everybody, right?
Right.
So a lot of the kids went out and this was before the day they had a lot of computer space. So they went out and everybody had a thesaurus or a dictionary and they were looking up words. It was great. It was so much fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, talk about the importance of like individual pacing and self-acceptance for personal growth. You have to kind of be in that place to write, don't you?
I think yes and no. I think for people who are used to writing things down, I think that's sort of just an exercise that is part of their life.
Mm.
But when I was coming up with the design and the concept of my journal, I didn't want it to be so regimented that you had to stick to a plan. I wanted to have the freedom of starting whenever you wanted. And so there's no dates that you have to make a date and write it down and all that kind of stuff. So for me, I wanted that flexibility. I wanted people to pick up the book when they were ready to say, you know what, I need to, maybe this will help and we'll do this. And because it's multi-layered, so it has, of course, the positive quotes and it has the tasks on the bottom
Mm.
for love and kindness. And then in the middle, it's whatever you want to create. So whatever you're going through in your life, whatever is coming at you or whatever you're wishing for or what your plans are, what your goals are, it can be anything you want. And so I really wanted that flexibility so that each individual learns at a different pace and a different time. And so I wanted to try and take away any restrictions to that concept. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really important because like for me, just speaking personally, if I get a journal and it starts on January 1st, I don't start writing till January 1st. And of course, January 1 through 5 looks fantastic. All the pages are full. And, then a week goes by and you miss a day. And maybe it's just my personality, but that missed day kind of just throws me off.
Yeah.
Like I'm
See,
not doing it right.
I think that's fair, but I don't think there's any right or wrong. That's kind of the whole idea is if you miss a day, I look at it like maybe you needed a day. Maybe it wasn't like your emotions or your thoughts. Maybe that was a day that you were in action of what you wrote 2 weeks ago.
Mm,
So again, there's no rules here.
yeah.
Like you can yeah, absolutely, there's no rules, and if you miss a day, then you just pick it up the next day or the day after or whenever you need to. So that's kind of really important. That's the same for everybody. So for me, when I journaled, because I journaled for a long time in my life, and I would miss days, but those were days that I was doing other things and it wasn't there.
Hmm.
And that's fair. That's absolutely fair. So, but then I'd come back like a day later and I'd have all this stuff that I wanted to write down. So, and I felt like I made up for that missed day, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so anything goes. Absolutely. You can write, you can draw, you can add a picture, you can doodle, you can put dried flowers in the book, whatever
Mm,
you want to do. It's all great, right? Because it's all part of the individual's journey
yeah.
and from A to B to Z, and just hopefully it will ground people and center people and help the world because the world's a little crazy right now. So
A little.
yeah, just a
Yeah.
little.
Yeah.
And it's always great to infuse love and kindness and have motivation and inspiration and be motivated and inspire other people as well. So
Yeah.
it's a two-way street for sure.
Yeah. You mentioned love and kindness, and your journal promotes that. And it's so simple. Be kind, be loving, but we don't act on it. Can you give an example of how just something, the small act of saying hi to someone you don't know, or, any kind of small act can lead to
Uh,
kind of significant changes?
Great question. I can actually give you a recent example.
Mm.
I was going to the drugstore to pick something up, and out the door I go, and I'm walking up the street to go back to my condo, and I see this lovely little old lady, and she's holding on to the wall outside the drugstore.
Mm.
And I walked past her and I saw her. I glanced at her and I stopped dead in my tracks. And I thought, oh my goodness, this lady is in trouble. So I turned around and I went to her and I said, are you okay? And she goes, my darn legs aren't working for me today.
Oh no.
And she had a cane and she had a little bag of groceries. And I said, can I help you? And she, without a hesitation, she put her arm in mine and I walked her home to her apartment.
Oh,
And we had the loveliest conversation. And she was, I believe, a school teacher, and her caregiver had the day off, and she needed to pick up some groceries and stuff. So, and she was struggling to walk up. And so we had a great conversation, and I delivered her home, and I went about my day.
mm-hmm.
And so that act of kindness, she was thrilled. And what a lovely, lovely person she was, right? And she just wanted to be seen and be heard. And we had a great time. It was fun. It was a brief encounter. It was like 15 minutes long,
Yeah.
but it was wonderful. It was great. So it fed her and it fed me at the same time because I felt like I made a difference for that 15 minutes. And the
Absolutely.
world needs, especially in these times where everything is a little bit crazy, I think it's so important that everyone has a little kindness and a little love in their life and give it out to the world. Spread it around. And it doesn't have to be major and it doesn't have to be earth-shattering. It can be just be kind. Just be kind and be polite.
Yeah.
I've tried to live my life that way. I'm not always successful, but I do try and live my life that way.
Yeah. Oh, what a beautiful encounter because it could have gone so many different ways. She could have denied your help or,
She
yelled
could have
at
hit me with
you
her
or
cane.
exactly.
Which I
Exactly.
think was like in a comedy thing years ago on TV. But I thought of that actually. I thought of that when I walked away. I said it was so lovely that she was so sweet and didn't hesitate.
Yeah.
Just put her arm in mine and off we went. And it was like we didn't know one another, obviously.
Right.
So we need to do that. We need
Yeah.
to do that. The human race needs to be kinder for sure.
We do. We need to do that more. That's beautiful. Can you talk about I mean, I'm kind of getting emotional here.
That's okay.
Yeah. Can you talk about the importance of embracing all of these emotions, both negative and positive, and how a journal helps with that?
For me, well, I'll just make a general statement. I think everybody goes through what they need to go through to get from where they are and where they want to go.
Hmm.
And it's never linear. It's full of bumps and turns and twists and regressions and everything. So I think that when we look at going through what we need to go through, that everybody has their own journey that they have to deal with. So whatever tools that we need to use them. All right. As long as they don't hurt other people and they inspire you and motivate you to move forward.
Hmm. What inspired you to make room for various forms of expression, like drawing and adding photos in your book?
When you're dealing with different sort of expressions and art forms and whether it's writing or drawing or any of that, I think it's important that we have those venues to express ourselves. And I think that expressing ourselves gives us some sort of validation and it gives us a direction and it gives us the tools of sort of knowing what the next step is
Mm.
for sure. Dealing with all the emotions for me, growing up was wonderful. I have a great family, but for me it was very tumultuous and because I wanted to do things my way and I wasn't going to follow, for sure, I wasn't going to follow the straight line and do all the things that they thought I was going to do. I just turned left and kept going. So through all those emotions, I think they're all valid. And without going through the highs and the lows and the in-betweens, but they're all interrelated. They all intersect and cross paths with one another. So when you're validating all of your emotions, from the good emotions to the negative emotions, I mean, they all support one another. So,
Hmm.
and usually I know the saying is that when you go through something really difficult in your life, that's when you learn the most.
Mm.
And that has been my experience for sure. I mean, when you are successful at something and you've achieved your goal, it's a party and it's great and it's all lovely. And then the next day it's like, okay, now you have to do, you're on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So, but when you're learning something and you're struggling with finding where you need to go, that process is probably the strongest process of making forward steps in where you want to go. So validate them all, good or bad, and use them to advance where you need to go. And so that's kind of been my philosophy.
Hmm.
It's not easy and all the time, but sometimes it is. So again, it's sort of like, when you want to express yourself, whether it's through drawing or painting or singing or whatever you want to do, that's the expression. So, and
Okay.
that's all the emotions involved in that as well. So it's all interrelated. It's all connected.
Right, right. What does the layout of my journal look like? Like, what does the reader see when they first open the pages?
So it starts out with a motivational, inspirational quote. And then in the middle, there's the journaling part. And then on the end, there is a task session, which is our tasks for you to do for love and kindness. And then throughout the book, I decided that I wanted to do it in 4 sections so that every 3 months you would take stock on what you've written, what your goals are, what you've accomplished,
Mm.
what you need to accomplish. So there's sort of like every 3 months you do that. So it just keeps you sort of remembering what your goals are and what the next steps are, and it just sort of helps you sort of take those steps forward.
Yeah.
Or backwards, because sometimes you have to go backwards to go forwards,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
for sure. And then the other part of this was I sort of incorporated the symbolism of the flowers. And this is where motivation, inspiration, love, and kindness. I think it started with those statements because those were important to me. And then somehow it all, again, the universe all came together.
Yeah.
And so I looked up flowers and while I was away writing and finding where I needed to go, I took pictures of flowers because it was the beginning of June and everything was in bloom. It was
Mm.
incredible. And so I looked up symbolism of flowers. And so I brought that into the book as well. So again, the book is multi-layered.
Yeah.
And so motivation is Black-Eyed Susan. Inspiration is Daisy. Love is the rose, of
Of
course.
course. Yeah.
And then kindness is the dahlia, my favorite.
Oh, I love
So
that. Yeah.
yeah, so I sort of incorporated that into the book. So throughout the book, those flowers, and on the cover, the flowers are there, they're drawn. I didn't want photographs because I wanted a drawing because that's an art form as well as photographs, but I wanted like a beautiful drawing. And so, yeah, so that became the
Right.
cover of the book and in the book as well. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I love the cover. It's beautiful. So, did you draw those images or did you
Uh,
have an artist?
no, I had an artist do that. That was Tellwell, my publishing company that I worked with, and they guided me through everything. So kudos to them. They
Yeah.
were incredible.
Perfect.
And yeah, so, and because I had no idea. So it's more than I thought it was going to be, for sure. But it's been a fun journey. And again, it's been therapeutic for me, but it's also been inspiring for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tellwell has helped me with that. So they took me step by step by step by step by step. So which is great.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So, It sounds like it all came together with a lot of work, but were there any specific challenges you faced while creating My Journal? And how did you overcome those challenges, if any?
Well, yeah, like, if any, that's kind of where I was, because again, it just felt like everything sort of happened at the right time and everything came together. And
Hmm.
I mean, the process of actually, it kept changing. It kept evolving. It really did. And things started to happen. And when I sent it to be edited, one of my editors, because I had put in the task section for love and kindness, vote. Like I put in vote like 3 times
Hmm.
in the book. And then I put in something else like 2 or 3 times. That was really important to me. And
Right.
so the editor said, "Well, why are you repeating yourself?" And I thought, well, okay, so repetition makes a habit, so that's kind of why. And so the last edition that I made, because it just kept evolving that way,
Hmm.
was that I actually separated it and put in my favorite one, which is inhale positive energy, exhale negative energy. And
Mm.
I know everybody knows that, but I specifically put that in every 30 days
Oh, okay. Nice.
in the task section.
Little reminder.
And
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And it was very personal for me because when I was a young man, I was in an ice show and I traveled all over the world. And every single show I would get nervous and all that kind of stuff. And I would do that at the beginning of every single show, and I would breathe in and breathe out, and it would center me and calm me and focus me. No matter how good or bad I felt, all
Hmm.
right, when that spotlight hit, I had to perform. So that sort of centered me. So I included that and repeated it throughout the whole book. And so that's kind of my favorite task one. There's a lot, but that's the main one for me.
Hmm. What kind of feedback have you received so far on your journal? And can you share any success stories that you've heard from readers?
Yes, actually, I feel like it's going okay. It's still relatively new. I don't think a lot of people have gotten too far into the book yet or into writing in the book.
Okay.
But I do have a really good friend in the States, and I won't say her name, but we both lost our best friend,
Hmm.
and we both grieved very differently. So when I went through all of this, she supported me tremendously, which was great. And she just started writing in the journal because she's at a place now where she's ready to do that.
Right.
And so I'm kind of grateful because she's a very special lady and it was a tough time for all of us. So I think it's helping her, which is great. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, if you help one person, it's a success. So,
100%. Absolutely.
how does my journal cater to people at different stages of their personal or professional journey?
Well, again, that was part of the evolution of this because originally I was doing it just for my athletes.
Hmm.
And so originally it was more specific to training and setting goals and all those kind of things. And so as I got into it, it sort of evolved, it grew so that it became very friendly for anyone because writing one-on-one decide your target audience.
Hmm.
And so I did decide that. And then it sort of evolved into a larger scope so that it would benefit more people, everybody. So it sort of evolved to that, which I really like. So, and I was really pleased that the process took me there. So it's good for the sport arena, it's good for the office, it's good for a personal use, and it's all positive,
Hmm.
which is really, really critical.
Yeah. Well, I love the way that it just happened. It was supposed to be.
I believe in fate, and it sort of all came together. It was kind of miraculous and surprising, actually. So
Mm.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was good. I tortured myself during the process because I wanted it to be, of course, perfect. And And every day I went at it, there were so many changes. And through the process, I would get frustrated. And I go, Robert, inhale, exhale.
Yeah, right.
And it's okay. It's like just go with it and see where it takes you. And I'm really glad that I just relaxed and let it flow and let it come out of where it ended up becoming. So yeah.
How do you suggest someone A gets into the journaling habit and B maintains a regular journaling habit?
I think everybody's a little bit different, and there's no right or wrong answer to this. Everything is the right answer to this, I should say.
Mm.
And I can only comment on myself. So for me, I've always been a writer. I've always written things down. My mom was a list maker, and she had lists in every room in the house. And I sort of kept that idea, and I always have pen and paper ready. And because when I'm speaking to the athletes, and I think of a concept and how I want to approach it, and I write things down. I just write things
Hmm.
down, and I think that's a really good way to start journaling and maintain your journaling throughout your life, and just make it accessible. So carry your journal with you, carry my journal to work, to wherever you need to go, carry your journal with you. Because when inspiration hits you, that's when you need to write it down
Hmm.
and just let it be accessible. So for me, I always keep something to write on beside my bed because I'm a vivid dreamer and I
Mm.
wake up and I go, oh my gosh, I have to write this down. And then I write it down and then I go back to sleep. So, and I've done that throughout my life.
Oh,
So yeah,
wow.
just accessibility and just keep it in the open so you can see it, so it's there. And I love the cover. It's I think it's beautiful,
It is.
and it's very calming, the blue and the green. It's like the grass in the sky and the flowers and everything's growing. And
Yeah.
so it's a great thing visually. So if it's there, you'll see it and it'll invite you to write something in. So yeah.
Hmm. And then, like you said earlier, repetition, forms habits.
Yes.
So, yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be rigid. Like you said, like if you miss a day, it's okay.
it's okay.
It's absolutely okay.
Yeah.
There's no rules here. And if you miss a week, it doesn't matter, right? But always come back to it, right? Always come back to love and kindness. You
Hmm.
always come back to that for sure.
Mm. So, what's next for you on your writing journey? Are there any future projects or books you're working on?
Um, I love this question. People have asked me this actually a lot, and a lot of my athletes have purchased the book, and a lot of my friends have as well, which is lovely.
Hmm.
And they go, "Are you going to write another one? Is there going to be a sequel?" I'm considering a sequel. I've actually started it, but let's see how this goes first.
Right.
And because this was more than I anticipated. So yeah, so we'll see how this goes. I have a few other things that are happening. Again, creativity is sort of my go-to thing in this stage of my life. I've spent my lifetime trying to nurture athletes and other people to succeed and achieve their goals.
Hmm.
At the same time, achieving my goals as a coach and now as a writer, maybe.
Yeah.
You never know. And so we'll see. But I am looking at doing maybe some cards with the positive quotes and
Oh, yes. Yeah.
yeah, so like note cards with flowers a lot of the flowers that I took pictures of in Provincetown and their symbolism and the quotes from the book. I'm playing with that. So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll
Yeah.
see.
I love that. It reminded me, I have little 4x4 cards that I keep on a little stand in my kitchen where I go get
Oh
my
my
coffee every
gosh.
day. And
Oh,
you just change the card every day. You take the one on the front, you put it in the back. And so you have, and then you just keep going through it. I think there's, I don't know how many, 30 of them or so, but that's what you kind of reminded me of when you were describing that. So, yeah.
Sherry, you have inspired me.
Oh,
That,
good.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I love that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's something to look at and you have it in the kitchen and you see it every day. And yeah, so it's kind of like starting your day with a little dance,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or a little laughter or something that's going to give you that energy to face the world.
Exactly, exactly. Well, Robert, is there anything else you wanted to add today?
Am I allowed to say happy birthday to my niece?
Absolutely.
She's my godchild, and it's her birthday today. And so happy birthday, Kate and Katie. And buy the book,
Yeah.
please.
All right. All right. Do you have a website?
I do. It's roberto'tooleauthor.com. Please leave a review. That would be great. That's my next little task to push is people need to leave a review for me. So I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, Robert, it has been wonderful to talk with you today. I'm so excited to learn more about you and your work.
Sherry, thank you so much. You made this really fun.
Thank you so much for joining me today for my interview with Robert O'Toole, author of My Journal, Meditation, Inspiration, Love, Kindness. To learn more about Robert and his work, visit his website at robertotooleauthor.com. And be sure to check out our other interviews at InsideScoopLive.com.